Exposed. For hours after traveling to Texas, he discovered his 58-year-old GF hid her incredible secret. Jake had just a few hours of empty highway between him and Linda's little hometown, a place that promised to be a weekend retreat from his daily grind as a mechanic in a struggling urban neighborhood. As he drove, beams of sunlight painted the vast Texas landscapes, illuminating weathered barns and sprawling fields. He imagined reconnecting with Linda, a spirited art teacher who breathed life into drab walls with colors and stories. She was not just his girlfriend. She was the spark in his life, the warmth he craved. But nothing could prepare him for what lay ahead. When Jake pulled up to Linda's charming home, anticipation fluttered in his chest. He couldn't wait to embrace the sun-soaked days and starry nights, far from the chatter of city life and the pressures it brought. But trickles of anxiety crept in as he caught sight of the odd details surrounding her quaint abode. The community was a tapestry of vibrant murals, each telling a story. Yet, a heaviness hung in the air, whispering of economic hardship lying beneath the vibrant colors. As he settled into her house, he felt a strange pull toward a door slightly ajar at the end of the hallway. Gently curious, he peeked inside. What he found took his breath away. The hidden room was filled with canvases, letters, and artifacts, each exuding an energy that felt both inviting and haunting. The paintings told stories of struggle and sacrifice, and it struck him like a lightning bolt this was a part of Linda he had never known. Jake's heart raced. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" he blurted out, as confusion twisted inside him like a knife. Linda turned, her eyes wide with disbelief, but before she could respond, anger poured out. "I didn't want to burden you with my past." The air thickened around them with every shouted word, shadows stretching darkly over their fragile connection. "Burden? This is who you are," he exclaimed, his chest tight with betrayal. Before the argument took a deeper toll, they realized the community was gathering outside, sensing the upheaval. Old friends and neighbors stepped in, rallying around Linda with smiles and encouragement, revealing her noble mission to support veterans through art therapy. Their camaraderie struck Jake, highlighting the unity and compassion that flowed through this town. He felt small among them, a stark contrast to his own world where friends rarely connected on deeper levels. "Listen," Linda implored, voice thick with emotion, "these stories matter. They help me heal. They help others." Jake wrestled with confusion and doubt. Had she really been hiding this remarkable side of herself? As he looked into her eyes, filled with hope yet shadowed by secrets, he pondered their relationship. Could he embrace all of her, including the pieces he didn't understand? Before the thoughts could settle, a familiar face appeared in the doorway, crashing into the moment like a thunderclap. Jake felt his insides twist as Linda's past walked right back in, igniting his insecurities and reopening her wounds. As the community cheered her name, Jake stood there, lost in turmoil. Would he be able to confront what honesty and forgiveness truly meant? The questions tangled like threads in his heart. Would he risk it all for a love woven through wounds, passion, and the potential for healing? With the Texas sun shining high, everything felt electric, yet uncertainty loomed heavy. Would he find the strength to stand beside Linda, or would fear win, darkening their shared canvas forever? The moment hung in the air, charged with tension. Jake's heart pounded against his chest, fighting for clarity amid the swirling emotions. He looked at Linda, and for the first time, he saw the pain etched in her features, the flicker of a past she had tried to bury. Behind her, the crowd murmured excitedly, clapping and calling her name. Yet it only added to Jake's feeling of isolation. Here he was, amidst a community that knew her, understood her, while he felt like an intruder, just discovering the surface of her vibrant life. "Jake, this is it's just complicated," she stammered, hurt flickering in her eyes. "Complicated? There are people here who need you. Linda, why didn't you share this with me?" The words spilled out, rougher than intended, but they came from a place of caring. He didn't want to fight. He wanted to understand. Linda sighed, running a hand over her hair, visibly torn. "Because I was afraid you would see me differently. I didn't want to ruin what we had. But right now, it feels like you're hiding who you are. I want to be part of your life, not just this polished version of it. I want all the colors, the messy ones too," he admitted, his voice softer now. That moment, someone in the crowd spoke, an older man with kind eyes. Jake, every person in this town has a battle we're fighting. We know Linda's scars. We've learned from them. Those stories connect us. Jake turned his attention back to the man, listening intently. And many times, it's in the messiness of life where we find true strength and beauty, the man continued, gesturing to Linda. It's what she teaches us every day. For the first time, a hint of vulnerability crossed Linda's face. Jake noticed how her shoulders relaxed slightly. Maybe the warmth of the community was giving her strength to open up. I didn't think my past was something you would want to deal with, Linda whispered, her voice barely audible. Why would you think that? Jake looked deep into her eyes. Don't you see? It's not a burden. It's part of the person I love. With every word, the weight of her past seemed to shift, from a dark shadow to a canvas ready for new strokes of paint. They stood on the precipice, vulnerable yet brave. The crowd around them fell silent, hanging on to the moment, sensing the fragile possibility for healing. But before they could weave their thoughts into a tapestry of understanding, the familiar face stepped forward, her ex-husband, Tom, the very man Jake had never wanted to see. Tension crackled once more as Tom's expression softened, yet Jake glanced at Linda, wondering what storms this new development might unleash. Linda, I came to apologize, Tom said, his voice steady but laced with regret. Jake's breath hitched. What did he mean by that? As Jake felt panic rising in his chest, Linda's hand fluttered to her mouth in shock. Was this the final revelation that would shatter their fragile connection? Would this man reshape their story, or could they fight through the waves ahead? As Jake's heart raced with uncertainty, he faced the crossroads of trust and truth, knowing that every word from Tom could change everything. Would he have the courage to love Linda completely, even as ghosts from her past threatened to invade their hope? The answers felt just out of reach, and he braced himself for the tumultuous moments ahead. The tension was palpable, each heartbeat echoing in the silence that followed Tom's unexpected words. Jake felt the air thicken, a stifling mixture of dread and confusion. He could see Linda's eyes widen, the flicker of disbelief crossing her features. It was as if time had momentarily frozen, the world pausing on the edge of two hearts caught in a web of the past. An apology? Linda finally managed, her voice trembling. What are you talking about? After all this time? Tom's expression softened further, a flicker of genuine remorse lifting the edges of his mouth. I've made mistakes, Linda. Leaving was the hardest thing I ever did. I thought it was best for both of us, but I see how much I hurt you. I'm sorry. The murmurs in the crowd grew, anticipation hanging heavy as they waited for Linda's reaction. Jake stood rooted, trying to gauge her feelings, his pulse pounding in his ears. Could Tom's words break the thread they had been weaving together, the fragile hope he had started to build around them? Would she let her past creep back in, suffocating what they might have? Linda's shoulders slumped slightly, as if the weight of the world had been thrust back upon her. You want to apologize now, after everything? After moving on? Her voice was a mixture of anger and hurt, like a wound reopening. The crowd shifted, sensing the emotional upheaval. I didn't know how to come back, Linda. I thought it was better to stay away, he replied earnestly. But it was a lie. I should have fought for you. Jake felt a surge of protective instinct. Memories of Linda's laughter, her smile, and the moments they had shared flashed through his mind. Would she even consider this man who had hurt her so deeply? It doesn't change what you did, he finally interjected, trying to maintain his composure. You can't just sweep all that under the rug because it's convenient. Linda held her breath, her gaze darting between Jake and Tom. I needed to heal. I was doing fine until you came back, Tom. I don't think I can trust you. Trust can be rebuilt, Tom insisted, younger than his years, but carrying a weight that spoke of regret. What I did was foolish. I was too caught up in my own head to see how much you meant to me. But it's not just words. I've rebuilt my life without you, Linda replied, sadness creeping into her voice. How can I just forget? Jake stepped closer to her, wanting desperately to pull her into the safety of his arms, but holding back. He could sense her turmoil. You don't have to forget. Your past is part of you, Linda. But you need to decide if you want him in your life again. Trust is hard to earn back. Tom hung his head, the shame leaking from his admitted truth. I understand if you need space, Linda. Just know I'm here for whatever you decide. The weight hung heavily, relationships shifting like sand beneath their feet. The crowd seemed to acknowledge the gravity of the moment. With every second, the tension mounted, filled with the potential for distant reconciliation or the sharp edges of unresolved pain. As Linda looked into Jake's eyes, he could feel her struggle, the battle between old wounds and new hopes. The silence stretched on, heavy with possibilities. Would she choose the comfort of the past or the uncertain promise of a future with him? Then, her voice broke the silence, quiet but resolute. I don't know what I want just yet, but I need to figure it out. Jake's heart sank, but he couldn't voice his fears. Instead, he nodded, understanding. They were standing on uncertain ground, and clarity felt far away. He needed to trust her journey. Behind them, the crowd continued to whisper, sensing the unfolding drama. Each glance and murmur filled the air with anticipation. As the tension simmered, Jake's mind raced. Could he hold on while she found her footing? Would this moment tear them apart? Just then, Tom stepped forward again, his voice steady. Linda, I have something important to tell you. Something that might change everything. The sudden urgency in Tom's voice sent a chill down Jake's spine. What could Tom possibly say that might influence everything they had built in such a short time? Something that might change everything? Linda echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. The crowd shifted uneasily as they leaned in closer, drawn to the gravity of Tom's words. Jake felt a knot tightening in his stomach. What revelation could Tom possibly unleash that would force a reckoning between the three of them? Tom took a deep breath, clearly preparing for something weighty. I know this is all shocking, but the truth is I wasn't just absent to protect you. I've carried another burden since I left. A huge regret that might explain why I'm here now. Linda's face paled. The flicker of emotions rushed through her eyes: curiosity, fear, and a hint of painful nostalgia. What are you talking about? She pressed, her hands visibly trembling. Tom stepped even closer, urgency painting his features. I never told you the full story about why I left. I thought I could handle it on my own, but I was wrong. I'm not just here to apologize. I'm here because I need your help. Help? Linda's voice was laced with disbelief. Yes. When I left, I thought it would be a clean break. I thought I could just erase my past. But it followed me. I got involved with something dangerous. I didn't just leave you. I left behind something that has haunted me. I'm in trouble, Linda, and I need you to understand why. Jake felt a surge of protectiveness over Linda as his heart raced. This wasn't just about her past with Tom anymore. This was something new, something that could put them all at risk. What kind of trouble? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite the anger bubbling just beneath the surface. If you think just revealing this will earn her trust back, you're mistaken. Tom held Jake's gaze, unflinching. I'm not looking for sympathy. I know I don't deserve any. But this is bigger than us. I've made mistakes, yes, but now I need to clear this up. What I got into, it's dangerous. I didn't realize it until it was too late. Linda's confusion deepened as she processed Tom's words. Hurt mingled with concern, and Jake could scarcely stand the thought of her being dragged into the chaos of Tom's life again. You need to explain yourself fully, Tom, she replied firmly, turning her gaze back to him. You can't just drop a bombshell like that and expect me to turn my back on everything I've worked for. Tom nodded, his desperation rising. A few months after I left, I got mixed up with a bad crowd. Things spiraled. I owe money to people who don't play nice. If they realize I'm back, they might come looking for me, looking for you. They might want to hurt you to get to me. The weight of his words slammed into Jake, a harsh reminder of the connection Linda once had with this man. The stakes were suddenly higher than anyone anticipated. You're putting her at risk just by being here, Jake interjected, struggling to keep his anger in check. If any of this is true, you should leave. You won't be doing her any favors by hanging around. Tom sighed, clearly torn. I don't want to hurt her, Jake. But I can't just walk away again. I've carried this weight for too long. I want to right my wrongs. Linda stood there, at a crossroads between two men, both with conflicting claims on her heart and mind. I need to think, she uttered, her voice steady but wavered with the enormity of the moment. I can't decide right now what this all means. As the crowd buzzed in a frenzy of speculation, Jake watched the turmoil swirl in Linda's expression. He wanted to reach out and comfort her, to show her that she wasn't alone in this moment. But the pain of uncertainty held them both captive. Then, as if sensing the turning tide, Tom stepped closer. I know I've hurt you, and I don't expect forgiveness. but I'm begging you to at least hear me out. You deserve the truth, and maybe together, we can figure this out. Jake's heart raced, a conflict engulfing him. Could they really navigate this tumultuous path? The choices before them felt monumental, reshaping lives in ways none of them were ready for. Just as thoughts swirled, a voice pierced the tense atmosphere from the back of the crowd, and all eyes turned. What if he's telling the truth? What if there's more at stake here? In that charged moment, Jake knew everything was about to change again. The buzz in the crowd intensified, thick with murmurs and speculative glances. Jake tightened his fists at his sides, feeling the rising tide of tension swirling around them. He couldn't shake the feeling that Tom was playing a dangerous game. Just a moment ago, he'd been the protector, the rock for Linda. Now, he felt like a mere spectator, paralyzed by the uncertainty that hung in the air. Look, Jake said, trying to cut through the noise. This isn't just about the past anymore. You're dragging her into something dark. You have no idea what trouble you could be stirring up by being here. Tom glanced from Jake to Linda, his expression shifting from desperation to a more nuanced understanding. I know. I'm not asking you to brush this under the rug. I'm just asking for a chance to explain. Explain what? Jake's voice cracked with frustration. How your choices put her life in danger. How your past is going to ruin our future. You made your bed, Tom. Now you want us to lie in it? The crowd was alive, eyes darting between the two men as emotions flared. Linda's expression was hard to read, but Jake could see the conflict warring within her. Every second stretched into an eternity as she paced a few steps away, her fingers running nervously through her hair. Linda, Tom said softly, I didn't want this for you. You deserve more than the weight of my mistakes. But I came back because I thought I hoped there might still be a way to fix things. She shook her head. You think this is about the two of us? This is about my life, our lives. You can't just walk back in and expect everything to fall in line. Jake stepped closer, aware of the heat behind his eyes. You need to make a choice, Linda. Do you trust him? The crowd leaned closer, ears perked, waiting for her response. In that moment, it felt like the world had narrowed to only the three of them, with the rest fading into the background. Linda inhaled sharply, the emotion of the choice weighing heavily. Trust? I don't even know what that means anymore. Tom reached for her, desperation flooding his voice. Just listen to me. If I had the chance to make things right, to get the people after me us off our backs, I'd take it. I was stupid but not a monster. I made mistakes, but learning from them means something, doesn't it? The crowd's murmurs died down as Linda's face flashed uncertainty. Jake's heart pounded. He could see the flicker of anger and pain shift into something resembling understanding. And what if this is just another manipulation? Jake pushed, fighting against the rising tide of anger. What if he's lying and just wants you back underneath his mess? Maybe I'm not lying. Tom snapped, his voice cracking under the pressure. But I can't undo what I've done. I know I hurt you, Linda, but can we start talking? I'll do anything to make this right. Suddenly, the murmurs grew louder, voices overlapping in a cacophony of disbelief and speculation. Shadows of doubt danced across the faces in the crowd. It was clear that they were all realizing the stakes together. Linda stood still, her breath wavering as she gathered her thoughts, caught between memories and the horrifying possibilities of what could come next. She turned her gaze to Jake, searching his eyes. Jake, she said hesitantly, what do you think? Before he could respond, a sharp sound erupted from the edge of the crowd, a high-pitched laugh, mingled with a shout. The atmosphere crackled with uncertainty as the crowd parted, revealing a figure approaching with purpose. As the figure drew closer, Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Whoever this person was, their presence promised to complicate everything again. Who were they, and what did they want? The figure emerged, cutting through the crowd like a knife, eyes glinting with mischief. A woman, older yet vibrant, with wild, curly hair that danced around her shoulders. She seemed to thrive on the tension that filled the air. It was as if she thrived on chaos, and with every step, Jake felt that unease swell within him. Well, look what the wind blew back to town, she called out, her voice laced with a sneer that instantly drew the crowd's attention. Several people gasped while more murmured curiously, captivated by her boldness. Linda's expression flickered from confusion to apprehension. Who are you? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper but packed with authority. My name? It doesn't matter, the woman replied, rolling her eyes dismissively. What matters is that your precious Tom here has quite the history he clearly left out of his little pity party. Jake felt a rush of protectiveness sweep over him. He stepped slightly in front of Linda, prepared to shield her from whatever revelations were about to fall from this woman's lips. You don't get to come in and tear him down. You don't know anything about him. The woman smirked, undeterred by Jake's hostility. Oh, but I do know. For example, did you know that Tom was mixed up in some pretty dangerous stuff before he vanished? People's lives were ruined because of him. And now he waltzes back into town as if it's all just a bad dream. She leaned closer, her tone lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. But dreams have a way of turning into nightmares, don't they? Tom's face paled, the bravado he held slipping away like sand through fingers. You don't have to do this, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. You think I would let you bury the truth? She taunted, clearly loving the moment. You're still tangled in that web, Tom. And now, you want her to follow you into it? The crowd's energy shifted from curiosity to exhilaration, each person leaning in, caught between disbelief and intrigue. Linda's lips pressed together, anger blooming as she absorbed the implications, tears glistening in her eyes. Is this true, Tom? She asked, voice trembling. Did you bring this nightmare back into my life? He hesitated, his eyes darting nervously around the crowd, searching for answers that weren't there. I did what I had to do to protect you, Linda. You don't understand. Protect me? By bringing your mess back into my life? She shot back, her voice rising again. Each syllable cracked like a whip. It was a raw vulnerability, her heart laid bare for all to see. You're not keeping me safe. You're dragging me down. Jake's heart raced. He wanted to pull Linda away from this circus, to shield her from the onslaught of accusations and truths. This isn't the time to do this, he said, desperation leaking into his voice. Isn't it? The woman retorted, her laughter echoing through the quieted crowd. You all deserve to know what you're involved with. Tom here thinks he can just return and rewrite history. Look how far he has come, conned you all into thinking he has changed. Linda shook her head, visibly fighting back emotion. Tom, if there's more to this, if you've been lying, I can't go into this blind. You have to be honest with me. Tom looked at her, raw fear clouding his eyes. I'll tell you everything, but not here. A thick silence enveloped them. Jake felt the weight of Linda's gaze shift back to him, searching for something, perhaps reassurance, perhaps a lifeline. Then, the woman's voice chimed again, sharp as glass. Remember, Linda, the truth doesn't hide forever. And sometimes, it's dressed in the ugliest of clothes. Jake felt the ground tremble beneath them, a warning bell ringing out in his head. Was there more to Tom's past? Could they truly escape the shadows closing in around them? As emotions spun through the air like a tempest, Jake realized they were standing on the brink of something far bigger than himself, with secrets waiting to unravel. And just as that thought settled, the echo of a siren wailed in the distance, signaling the arrival of even more trouble. Jake's heart pounded in his chest as the wail of sirens grew nearer. The atmosphere was electric, thick with uncertainty and dread. He turned to Linda, her expression a mix of betrayal and confusion, and wanted nothing more than to comfort her. The air felt heavy, as if it too was waiting for the truth to explode. Let us get out of here, Jake urged, trying to pull Linda away from the crowd. But she stood frozen, staring at Tom, who was now a broken statue beneath the weight of the woman's accusations. Tom, is it true? Linda asked again, desperation lacing her tone. The crowd had split into hushed whispers, a buzzing wave of speculation washing over them. I didn't want you to know this way, Tom replied, his voice cracking. I made mistakes. I thought I could leave it all behind, but you brought it back with you. Linda retorted, her voice gaining strength, but laced with hurt. You didn't just abandon your past. You dragged it through the door with you. Jake could feel the tension spiral. The expectant silence hung like a weight in the air, as the woman watched the chaos she stirred unfold. She licked her lips, eyes dancing with glee at the unraveling of a life, as if it was her own twisted spectacle. With a movement that shocked him, Jake stepped closer to her. You think you're helping? You're tearing lives apart for your own entertainment. She smirked. Oh, sweet boy, I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. The sirens turned sharper, closer. People started to move, unsure of whether to flee or stay and witness the unfolding drama. Tom, please, just tell me the truth. Linda's voice cut through the whispers, raw and pleading. With a heavy breath, Tom glanced around, weighing his options. I was involved in something illegal, okay? There were people, dangerous people. His eyes locked onto Linda's. I thought leaving would keep you safe. I never wanted this for you. I thought I could fix it. By running away? Linda's voice fell to a whisper. By pretending it didn't happen? I didn't know how to come back. I thought I could start fresh. His eyes glimmered with desperation. When I returned, I wanted to be a better person for you. Jake felt sick to his stomach, torn between wanting to shake Tom and longing to protect Linda from this mess. This isn't what love looks like, he breathed, the anguish seeping through each word. The realization dawned on Linda, a storm of emotions crossing her features. One moment she was ready to fight. The next she looked ready to break. What exactly did you get involved with? She whispered. At that moment, before Tom could answer, another siren blared, and police lights flickered across the square. The scene morphed into a chaotic swirl as law enforcement vehicles pulled in, officers pouring out, alert and ready. The woman's smirk faded, her confidence wavering as attention transitioned to the newcomers. I should get going, she muttered, a hint of fear creeping into her eyes. Running away? Jake snapped. Knowing when to leave is called wisdom. Keep that in mind, boys, she sneered over her shoulder as she began to disappear into the crowd. Linda looked back at Tom, tears streaming down her face. So this is it. You've put us all in danger? The truth hung heavy, swirling in the air like smoke, tightening around them. Before Tom could speak, the police officer locked eyes on them, a stern expression forming. Hey, everyone needs to clear the area. We are looking for someone. If you know anything. Linda stepped forward, desperation breaking through once more. No, Tom can explain everything. But as the officer's focus shifted to Tom, Jake felt frantic. Was this how it ended? With fears exposed and lives unraveling under a watchful eye? The sirens wailed louder, drowning out the fragile thread of hope left in the air. In that moment, he realized they were standing on the precipice of a truth that could tear them apart forever or bind them closer than ever. As Jake took a step back, sensing the impending collapse of everything he had fought for, he suddenly knew he had to find a way to shield Linda from whatever darkness was about to spill into their lives, because the truth wasn't done revealing itself yet. The chaos continued to swirl around them as the police officer advanced, confidence in his stride. Jake felt the prickling tension in the air. It felt electric, like the moments before a storm. He could see Linda's face crumble under the weight of her unraveling world. Her eyes searched Tom's for reassurance. But what could he offer when the storm of truth was bearing down on them all? Jake stepped forward, desperation fueling his movements. Tom, you need to tell her everything right now. No more secrets. Not now. His voice was hoarse, heavy with an urgency that hung in the air as thick as the panic swirling around him. Tom swallowed hard, glancing once more at the looming police figures who were sweeping through the crowd, searching for anything amiss. I can't, he stammered, shaking his head. Not can't you, 1T. Linda shot back, her hurt morphing into a fierce determination. You're choosing silence over honesty again. Tell me what danger you've brought here. The sincerity in her tone seemed to break through Tom's haze of guilt. He threw a quick glance at the police, then back at Linda. The gang, they followed me. The words hung in the air, chilling Jake to the bone. Anxiety shot through him like wildfire. What gang? He demanded. I was part of something I never meant to stay in. But they don't let you walk away easily. When I came back for you, I thought I could sever ties, but they don't just let you go. Linda's breath caught. Shock washed over her like an avalanche. You think they'll come after me? She whispered, realization dawning. Tom's brow furrowed in despair, and stillness enveloped them, broken only by the distant shouts of the police and the wail of sirens amplifying the fear surrounding them. I don't know, but if you're with me, stop. Jake interjected, his heart racing. This isn't about the two of you deciding what happens next. Linda deserves to be safe, and she deserves to know the truth fully. The air crackled with tension, mingling with the fear rising in their throats. The officer approached, now just few steps away. I need to know what you all are involved in, he said, gesturing for them to step aside from the crowd, the scrutiny in his eyes sharpening. Is someone in danger? Linda turned to Tom, pleading. Tell them everything. We can't hide this anymore. But in that moment, Tom faltered. I will, he began, but the words froze. His gaze flickered past them, wide-eyed. What's wrong? Jake asked, instinctively moving protectively in front of Linda. Tom's voice dropped to a whisper. They're here. A ripple of fear coursed through Jake as he strained to make sense of the ominous warning. He could feel his heart thumping louder, resonating, the disbelief cascading through him. All at once, the crowd shifted. People began to part with shocked faces, revealing men in dark clothing. Faces etched with determination stood behind them, their gazes stoic and unyielding. There was no mistaking it now. They weren't looking for lost pets or stolen wallets. Get down, Jake shouted, instinct kicking in as he pulled Linda towards him, shielding her. The ambience shifted from one of uncertainty to pure chaos in an instant. The officer reacted, barking orders to disperse the crowd, but the sea of people was caught in shock, eyes glued to the unfolding confrontation. Jake felt the weight of the world crash over him. Tom's dangerous past had caught up to them, and now they were at the center of it all. As footsteps thundered closer, Jake realized their fight was just beginning. The truth was out there, but so was danger, thick in the air. What do we do now? Linda's voice trembled, her fear palpable. Jake caught her gaze, determination igniting a fire within him. We find a way to escape. Together. With hearts racing and the urgency of their situation crashing over them, the three stood on the precipice of an unforgiving reality where secrets and shadows chased them relentlessly. As the darkness encroached, they were about to learn that this fight for truth was only the beginning. What awaited them in that pursuit was yet unknown, but one thing burned clear. They would have to rely on each other if they were going to survive. Was it too late to outrun their past, or would they be consumed by it? Jake's heart raced as he gripped Linda's arm tighter, the panic rising like a tide around them. He could feel the heat of danger closing in, the men in dark clothing advancing steadily, their intent clear as daylight in the chaos. Stick with me, he urged Linda, trying to sound braver than he felt. His breath was shallow as he scanned the crowd, searching for a way out. He could see the officer barking commands, the confusion spreading like a wildfire. People were screaming, shoving. Their faces were masks of fear. It was just a matter of moments before the reality of Tom's past would collide with their reality. Suddenly, Tom was at Jake's side, grabbing his shoulder with urgency. I know another way out, he shouted over the din, an edge of desperation in his voice. The kind of desperation Jake had seen in a soldier's eyes right before battle. We don't have time, Jake replied, his mind racing with possible outcomes. If they're looking for you, heading into some back alley might not be the best idea. Tom met his gaze, determination flaring in his eyes. Then we faced them head-on. I'm not running anymore, he stated, conviction surging through him. Jake could see the weight of guilt in Tom's expression, an acknowledgement of the danger he had put them all in. Before Jake could respond, a loud crash erupted nearby. A trash can toppled, a couple of bystanders screamed, and fear danced in the air. Jake and Linda flinched, instinctively ducking closer to the ground. Now, Tom yelled, pulling Jake and Linda forcefully by the wrists. He led them through the chaotic crowd as they ducked and weaved, desperate to stay ahead of the looming threats. Each step felt like they were sprinting through honey. Time was slippery, moments stretched and distorted. Suddenly, they broke free from the thick of the mass, finding themselves in a quieter side street. The noise faded, but the tension didn't. Jake looked around to catch his breath, catching glimpses of fear on Linda's face. It hit him, this was no longer just Tom's battle. It was theirs. Why didn't you tell us? Jake demanded, his voice strained. This doesn't just affect you. We're all in this mess now. Tom's shoulders slumped, guilt flooding his features. I didn't want no. Linda interjected, stepping closer, her eyes fierce. You didn't want to put us in danger. We need to know everything, Tom. No more secrets. She looked at him, hurt radiating from her expression. As Tom opened his mouth, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them. The moment faded as they braced themselves again. Shadows danced along the alley as figures emerged, their silhouettes sharp against the fading light. Go, Jake shouted again. He looked to Tom, who nodded resolutely, a silent pact forming between them. Together, they spun on their heels, fleeing deeper into the dimness, landing into another maze of streets as their hearts pounded. Linda's breath caught, the adrenaline pushing her forward. Panic and resolve melded together, urging her on. "We need a plan," she gasped, glancing over her shoulder. "What if they find us?" "They won tea," Jake said, trying to bolster their spirits, even as doubt crept in. "We're not the ones they're after. We just have to keep moving." But as they rounded the corner, faced with a dimly lit alley that seemed to stretch endlessly ahead, Jake's gut twisted. It was a moment for decisions, one that could change everything. "Tom, what exactly did you pull us into?" he pressed, unable to shake the feeling of dread creeping up his spine. But Tom was silent, staring off into the distance, his past catching up with them at full speed. The harsh reality sank in. They were cornered, and the answers they needed were tangled in shadows that kept pushing in. Jake felt it, a movement of impending danger, a choices that could alter their fates forever. Each heartbeat was punctuated by the sound of footsteps. The weight of truth and danger loomed over them, and the night threatened to swallow them whole. What awaited them around the bend? Would they confront the shadows head-on, or would the ghosts from Tom's past pull them down as well? The alley twisted and turned, shadows creeping alongside them as Jake, Linda, and Tom moved deeper into the heart of uncertainty. Their breath came out in gasps, mixing with the adrenaline buzzing through the air. Behind them, the echoes of hurried footsteps faded into an ominous silence, leaving only the pulsating sound of their hearts beating wildly. "Tom, we need to know what we're facing," Jake urged, trying to keep his voice steady. "What did you get involved in? What trouble are we running from?" Tom's face was a mixture of regret and fear. "I'm in debt," he admitted, swallowing hard. "I borrowed money from people who don't let you walk away once you're in. They think I owe them everything. And if they find out I'm back in town with you," his voice trailed off, unable to complete the sentence. But the unspoken threat was clear. Linda's face paled, vulnerability flashing in her eyes. "They're looking for you, but they'll find us too. What do we do?" The panic laced her tone, revealing the depth of fear threading through her. "We need to go somewhere safe," Jake said, his mind racing. Instinct kicked in. He had to protect her above all else. "The community knows you, Linda. If we can reach someone who can help." "No," Tom interjected, fear flickering in his expression. "Anyone who knows me could be a target too. We can't trust anyone." "Then what are we supposed to do?" Jake shot back, frustration boiling beneath the surface. "Stay in this dangerous city? Isolate ourselves until they hunt us down?" Silence hung thick between them, a palpable weight of choices and uncertainty. It was a deep, suffocating pause where their options felt as murky as the shadows around them. The haunting sounds of sirens re-emerged, sending shivers through Jake's spine. They were running out of time. "Listen," Linda said, her voice firmer now, "we need to confront Tom's past. We can't run forever. He has to face these people." Jake met her gaze, seeing the newfound strength stitched into her eyes. She was calm, resolute. "Tom, you wanted to fix things, right? This is your chance to make it right for everyone, including yourself." Tom's expression shifted, a flicker of hope igniting behind the fear. "I began but faltered." "You can't hide from this," Jake interjected, anger threading through his voice. "You've dragged us into this nightmare, and you owe it to us to finish what you started. If you want to protect Linda, you have to take responsibility." Tom nodded slowly, taking in the gravity of their situation. Okay, he murmured, resolve firming in his voice. "Let us face it together." They huddled as they planned their next moves, small yet meaningful steps stitching their resolve. A community meeting place stood in the heart of town. A squad of friendly faces would be there. It felt risky. To reveal Tom's past meant potentially putting everyone on the line. But the flicker of hope appeared when they realized the connection, a community built on empathy and strength, ready to rally for each other. With stealth, they made their way back toward the town center. Every alley felt like a maze, the wind ever so faintly whispering possibilities of safety or danger. They moved through the shadows, finally threading their way back into the warmly lit corners of the neighborhood. As they approached the meeting place, warmth from the bustling voices filled the air, cutting through the night chill. But amidst the chatter, a cold knot twisted in Jake's belly. What would the community think? Would they support Tom, or would they fear him like Linda did? Steeling himself, he took Linda's hand, their fingers intertwining. Whatever happens, he whispered, we'll face it together. We're stronger than our fear. His words seemed to strengthen her resolve, and they stepped into the light where familiarity surrounded them like a comforting blanket. Tom followed, his earlier bravado slowly returning with each step. The hall was alive, filled with conversations about art, healing, and resilience, each word brimming with life. As the townsfolk noticed their arrival, the conversations hushed. Momentarily, they were a tapestry woven with stories of struggle, love, and hope. Linda, Jake, an old neighbor called, her smile wide and welcoming. The warmth washed over them like sunlight breaking through clouds. Within moments, curious faces turned, eager eyes landing on them. But Jake noticed something else. Eyes narrowed at Tom. The moment felt heavy. The path laid before them was fraught with uncertainty. Linda squeezed his hand tighter, grounding him. Let us be honest, she murmured, her gaze unwavering. Standing in the center of the community, Jake felt the rush of vulnerability sweep over him. We're all here because we care about each other, he began, voice shaking with intensity. Tom has a past we need to address, but he is here to make amends. We need to give him a chance. The crowd buzzed with surprise. Murmurs flared, and Jake felt a tension shimmer at the edges. Would they accept Tom? Would they be brave enough to fight with him? As whispers filled the air, Linda stepped forward, her courage radiating like warmth on a cold night. Tom had demons, but we all do, she said with a fierceness that resonated. His journey doesn't define him any more than ours do. We have the power to choose what tomorrow looks like. I need each and every one of you to understand the strength of community. It's why we're all here tonight. An old friend from the crowd spoke up. Linda's right. We've each faced battles. It's time we stand together. Just like that, voices rose in agreement. Faces transformed from skepticism to encouragement. Hope surged as Tom met Linda's gaze, tears glistening in his eyes. In that moment, as Jake watched their hands grasp one another, he felt the weight of their journey shift. It wasn't just Tom's redemption or the battle to face past demons anymore. It was a commitment to cultivate love, trust, and honesty between them. Together, they would brave the storm. And as the community rallied, laughter filled the hall, echoes of resilience resounded, transforming their tangled pasts into vibrant new futures. The shadows of secrets lifted, drenched in the light of acceptance. Maybe it was time for new beginnings, for a love that was not afraid of the tangled truth, but chose to embrace it. Colors illuminated across the canvas of their lives, ready for every brushstroke yet to come. Together, Jake whispered, awakening a flicker of faith within him. We can face anything. And with that, a spirit of resilience anchored itself within their hearts, promising that no matter what came next, love would always lead the way. This is where their real journey began. Now, embrace that journey alongside them. You need to subscribe now to catch every riveting twist and heartfelt moment. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Show your support for these incredible stories. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending, because your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's keep the fire of hope and unity alive together.